The way we start our day can have a really significant impact on the kind of day we're going to have. Let's face it, we've all had days when we were distracted, scatterbrained, frustrated, and maybe chasing our tail. And we got to the end of the day and thought, oh, what did I do? Maybe not so much. And there are the days when we were productive, when we were focused, we prioritized what mattered most, and we stepped methodically and calmly through what needed to be done. Surely we'd all like to have more days like that. Today, I'd like to share three rituals, three morning rituals that help me each day to get more of the kind of days that I can be proud of. Not all of them, but to have more days that go well. Now, just before we get into those three particular rituals, the very first thing I do each day, and I do want to mention this, is I get some water. When I get out of bed, I drink a big glass of water. Then I go for a walk and I have a coffee. Then I come back to my desk and I am hydrated and caffeinated and ready to engage in these three rituals, which have been inspired by behavioural science and positive psychology. A very well-known positive psychologist, Professor Martin Seligman, has a model for well-being, and he reckons there are 5 experiences we all need to have if we're going to nourish our minds and enjoy well-being. My 3 rituals are inspired by Martin Seligman's model. He calls it the Perma Model. The P, the first experience, that stands for positive emotion. We all need to experience some pleasure, happiness, joy, gratitude, perhaps an aesthetic pleasure of seeing a beautiful sunset or tasting something delicious. We all need bursts of positive emotion in our lives if we're going to enjoy well-being. The E in his model, that stands for engagement. We need to do things that we can get lost in, get absorbed in, immerse ourselves in. It could be during work or it might be after work. Perhaps it's gardening you love to do, or maybe it's something creative, pottery or writing, or I don't know what. It doesn't matter what it is, but we all need something in our lives we can get lost in. The R, well, that's for relationships, positive relationships, nourishing relationships. Not about the quantity, but it's about the quality. We all need to have 1 or 2 relationships with people where we can be really honest, really frank, someone we can depend upon, someone we can ask for help. The M, that's for meaning. We need to do things that we value as being, worthwhile. Not all of our life can be worthwhile, but we need to have at least some elements of it. We think, yep, actually, that was time well spent. That was worthwhile. The A, this is really important. It's that experience of achievement, making progress, getting things done. What I'd like to underline about Martin Seligman's Perma Model is he's not saying you need to achieve a lot and you need to have a lot of relationships and a lot of engagement and all the rest of it. What he's saying is you need these experiences. There's a lot of people who have achieved a lot in life. They're at the top of their game, but they haven't paused to savor the experience of achievement. They haven't paused to savor what is meaningful in their lives. They haven't paused to savor their relationships, the sense of engagement in their work, and they haven't paused when pleasurable things have happened. They've skated over the surface. We don't want that to happen to us. We do want to experience Perma and experience it every day. That's what my 3 rituals do. So I've come back from my walk. I've enjoyed my coffee. I sit down and I get out a sheet of paper. That's the first thing I do. I get a pen and I write. Up at the top, it's a bit of a mind map. I will write, what's good? And I write it far more legibly than that. What's good? Now, I'm not about to write down everything that's good in life, but the ritual is just to bring to mind 2, 3, or 4 things that are good right now in life. They don't have to be big things either. They can be small. But what I did this morning, so I do this every day. This morning I wrote down what's good. Well, my partner, Rachel. There we go. Rachel is good. Then I followed up with another question. What's good about what I've written down? So what's good about Rachel? A lot of things are good about her, but I just make a note of 2 or 3. She's kind, clever. Let's get that down. And she's also, I'm going to share, she's a great cook, trained cook. And then I'll do that for other things too. So we start off with Rachel, but just coming back to whatever you write down, what I like to do is just to look at it. I'll look at it and say, oh yeah, yes, Rachel, yes, great cook. Yes, she's clever. Yes, she's kind. And I allow myself to feel what's good about Rachel. And then as I'm feeling it, I'll lock it in with a smiley face. I will write down a little smiley face as I'm feeling good. Then I think, what else is good? You know what? Apparently the lockdown is going to end soon. Oh, that would be good. So I'd write down that too. Lockdown ending. And I'd write down, what's good about that? Well, I'll be able to go hiking, go cycling, meet people I haven't seen for a long time, do work in places that are further than 5 kilometers away from home. I'd allow myself to experience that. There's anticipation. And then, as I'm feeling it, put in a smiley face. So I'll do that for just 2, 3, or 4 things. Anything that's good. Could be, libraries, they're good. Summer's coming, that's good. Coffee, that's good. Maybe something's gone well at work. Or something good is, not gone well, coming up. Maybe there's something to look forward to in work coming up soon. I'd write that down. So this is the first ritual. What's good? Then I get another sheet of A4 paper, a clean sheet. And on this one, I write what went well. What went well? And I'm thinking now about yesterday. What went well yesterday? These don't have to be big things. What little things? Maybe one thing that went well yesterday was I received an email from someone who'd read an article about me. So last week, there was an article published about me in my book, Swipe Right on Your Best Self, in Wellbeing magazine, 2 pages. And somebody's read it, and a few people have read it and written to me. And that went well. That's lovely to connect to people I've never met before, people who are writing to say they were inspired by the article. Wonderful. So what went well yesterday? I might write, just briefly, I might say mag email. I'm not writing a paragraph of text here. Who's got time? But there was an email about the magazine. And then I asked that question again. What's good about that? And I got that email. Well, and I might write down things like, well, I'm connecting to new people. I'm able to share what I've learned with more and more people through that magazine article. Wonderful. What else went well yesterday? You may have noticed I've forgotten to do something. The thing that I've forgotten to do, that I always do, is I look at what I've written, mag email and connecting. And when I feel what's good about that, you know what I do? I put in a smiley face next to what I've written. What else went well? We can't go more than 5K from home at the moment, but I did go for a very nice cycle yesterday. It was quite warm and I enjoyed that. Just maybe 3 things that went well. I re-experienced them and re-experienced the pleasure of them going well, and put a smiley face next to each one. After that, there's one more question. I do a little time travel now. I imagine that it's not the time it is in the morning when I'm doing this, which is generally about sort of 7:30. Instead, I imagine it's the end of the day. Maybe it's 9 o'clock, something like that, 9:30. And I imagine I'm saying to myself, that was an awesome day. And I ask myself, what made today awesome? What made today awesome? And now, what if I was in the future and everything had gone really well, and I could honestly say, genuinely say, that was a really good day? What happened? Well, one of the things I wanted to have happen today, I wanted a webinar, this webinar, I wanted it to go well. And then I asked myself, well, what's important about that? So what went well and what's important about that? Well, again, I like the sharing. I enjoy sharing. It makes it something that's meaningful to me. What else happened today? Perhaps there's a phone call. So what would make today absolutely awesome? So I'm imagining it has happened. It has already happened. I made a phone call that I'd been putting off, and I got through to the person I wanted to speak to. So I might just say, no, I called, and we'll keep this anonymous, but let's say I called Joe. What's important about that? Well, we've got some work to do together, so we'll be able to progress that work. So I get to do more interesting work with Joe. And I'm just going to write down 3 or 4 things. Sometimes there's only one thing that needs to happen today, but I'm writing down what important things have happened today. I'm imagining they've already happened, and what's important about that. The next step is really important. I now need to come back to the morning. I can't stay there thinking, oh yes, I've already done everything I'd hoped to do today. No, we need to come back to the present moment. I look at the clock, say, okay, it's now, I'm actually here. I'm not there in the future. And now I plan. I schedule in my calendar the things that I've said would make today awesome. I schedule them in the calendar. So we have 3 steps. The first ritual is what's good, and what's good about that, putting in the smiley face. Second question, what went well yesterday, and what's important about that? And finally, this third question, this time traveling one, imagining it's the end of the day, imagining things went really well. Why did it go well? What made today awesome? What happened, and what's important about that? When you step through these 3 rituals, then what you're doing is weaving Perma into the beginning of your day. You're starting the day with positive emotion, engagement. You're thinking about relationships, making sure meaning happens, and making sure you're going to achieve the things that matter most. Perma. Which one of these rituals might make the biggest difference to the start of your day? My challenge to you is to take that, personalize it. You don't have to do it the way that I do it. Do it your own way. But know that the way that we start our days does have a profound impact upon the kind of day that we're going to have. It's up to us to take ownership for how we launch ourselves into our days.